so glad you all are here. And that little bit of rain was just enough, wasn't it?
Perfect.
Kind of cooled
Yeah.
everything down. I'm almost ready to have a little gin and tonic. Almost, but not quite. So I'm Byron Ballard, for those of you who don't know me, and a lot of you do, bless you already. The class I'm teaching tonight is Green and Healing Magic. And it's primarily designed for people who are getting tapped to do healing all the time. You all know who you are. You are the workhorses of the pagan healing communities. And you are not going to get accolades, and you do not get the kind of recognition you should get. So let me say right now from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all the work that you do, because it often goes unnoticed until it is more needed. And then suddenly, all the hysterical people are at your door going, and again, but that grounding, I mean, what? I mean, my life. Ah. And then you have to dig deep and go, I told you 1,000 times what to do, but let me tell you one more time. So this is for you, and I teach some pretty controversial classes. I teach a class on sex magic as a healing modality, and that one's called Honey on the Stones. And that's controversial mostly because I do it naked. The other most controversial class I teach though is Willful Bane, the Joy of Hex. But this class is also controversial, and the reason it is. Don't you love a sick person teaching a health class?
I'll make you some more tea.
The reason it's controversial is this, is that every one of you, both here and out there, who tackles the notion of healing in whatever way you do that, whatever modality, whatever protocols you use, those of you who do this are almost always in desperate need of healing yourself, but you put it to one side. So first I want to give you this permission slip. If you are flying on a plane and there's a wonderful person that's standing there in a uniform from whatever the airline is, and they tell you their bathroom's back here, and they're way over the wings, there's doors, and don't use those bathrooms because they're for the rich people, and they get really upset if you stinky storage people come in there. And also, if we lose pressure in the cabin, a mask will drop from the ceiling, and you are to put your own mask on before you help any of the people around you. So if you're traveling with an elder or a child, you put your mask on first. And every parent I know thinks, well, no, my baby gets a mask first, and then mama gets a mask, and then grandma, and then that little pitiful person over there, because I can do everything I need to do with a little brain damage. It's okay. It's not okay. Because we are living in a time now where you functioning at your highest and best is what we have to continue as a species. It's as simple as that. Could this be more distracting? I'm not sure how. So, I need all of you, if you are a magic practitioner or a magic worker, to be the very best you can be. However you have to do that. Too many times people use, how many of you are magical practitioners of some way? Witches or necromancers or whatever. I need for you to practice so that you are adept at what you're doing. Adept. Too many people will come to me for help, and I'll say, so what have you done so far? Nothing. How long has this problem been going on? 6 weeks. And you haven't done anything? What kind of magic have you done? No, they haven't done any magic yet. If you don't use it, you will never be good at it. Because magic is experiential, as all of you know. If you don't practice your magic, you don't get good at it. I need for each one of you who practices magic or any kind of energy work to be expert at it. Because this may be the only thing that saves us as a species on the planet. It may be the only thing. Because we're going down fast. And now we've got this new, brand new thing of we're going to greenwash everything. It's going to look like it's environmentally wonderful. And you're going to go, oh, Duke Energy, what a great job you're doing. They are not doing a great job. They are screwing the planet over and us and everyone around them. So be discerning. hold your hand up when you hear something that is being greenwashed and is not true. So for me to ask you to take care of yourself feels so weird to so many of us. And I'm going to use Sonia as a little bit of an example because she's such a big bit of an example right now, too. So I know Sonia. I've known Sonia a long time, and this is baby number 5 of her blended family. That's a lot of attention to pay to people. Plus, she's got a husband, and she's got an ex, and her husband has an ex, and the green grass grows all around, all around. But what I want Sonia to do is take care of Sonia. I want her to let all those other grown-up people in her life, whether they are male or female, take care of themselves because you ain't their mama. You didn't take them to raise. And half those youngins you don't even have to worry about because they're pretty confident they're in themselves. But I want you to take care of Sonia, and that goes to every one of you. I want you to take care of yourself. I want you to put your mask on now because we need you. As a series of communities, we need you. As friends of your heart, we need you. And as human beings, we need you to take care of you. So that's what this class is about. It's about looking at what healing means and what healing is. Some of you know that I practice Bane work. I do a lot of folkloric hexing and cursing magic. And because I do that, people tend to think I'm just some evil, mean person, but I practice it as a healing modality because it heals situations and it heals people. So sometimes healing doesn't look the way we think it's going to look. Sometimes a situation is healed through the doorway of death, and that will happen if you are sitting with someone who's terminally ill or an elder who is making their final passage, who's making the transition, as I like to say, from matter to spirit. So that is a healing that we don't think of as healing. We think of, right now, Byron has stuffy sinuses, and she takes some Sudafed, and that will take care of symptoms, and in a couple of days, whatever the allergy thing is will be over, and that's healing too. So healing is everything from a Batman Band-Aid to euthanasia. It's a wide, wide spectrum of things. But when I'm talking about you spending time with you, I'm gonna talk about energy. I'm gonna talk about having a team of people to look after you. I'm gonna talk about massage. I can't believe she does massage. I want to be number 2. I want to be the second one out of 2. So we're going to practice some what I think of as small beauties that help you as healers stay whole. Because that's what healing is about. To heal is to make whole. And we live in a society that is crushed and broken. And it has been for a long time. It's not a brand. Past 18 months, has it been writ large or what? It's like, oh, so none of these systems work. Healthcare doesn't work. Education doesn't work. The economy, none of these systems work anymore. So we're going to make sure your system, your personal system, works the best it can work in whatever circumstances you're in. One more sip of water. And one of my favorite new things on social media is pagans are happy to mock people who do thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. But for us, it's send energy. I'm sending energy. Sending! My mom's not feeling well. She's in the hospital, whatever. Sending! And there's some adorable little teddy bear that hugs you, or a little spinning moon, or whatever. Sending! Well, that's the equivalent of thoughts and prayers. Because, let me just be honest with you. Now, y'all look like a fairly savvy group of people. If you say to your 1,000 Facebook friends, my little kitty cat needs energy, please send energy. If 500 of those people were competent and sent energy, your cat would explode like you would put it in the microwave. So almost none of those people are even competent to raise energy, much less send it. So be aware when people say, I'm sending energy, sending, prayers up, prayers up. When pagans are praying, who's up? Thor? You praying to Thor? What are you praying to when your prayers are going up? Sorry, that was a tiny rabbit hole. Those of you who know me, that I will take you right to the edge of a rabbit hole, and then I will push you in, and then I'll jump on top of you telling you a story about my brother and how I didn't know how to play the banjo. So be aware for the next 40 minutes that could happen to you.
Rabbit holes and putting people in them.
So sending
She's for
energy
real.
is a particular set of talents and techniques, and not everyone is good at it. And I'm going to tell you, of all the things that I fuss at you about being good at, like if you come to me and you say, I'm just not good at grounding. You don't understand, I'm a Gemini. It's just really hard for me. I just don't. I will nag you until you can ground like an oak tree. Because everybody, if you are practicing magic, everybody needs to know how to ground. But I don't care if you're a Gemini. I want you to know how to ground. So you may have to work a little harder than the Taurus. Because, y'all, any of you Tauruses,
Taurus moon.
you tell a Taurus to ground and you see them turn to stone. They go, all right, now what shall we do? It's beautiful to behold. And I teach a simple practical magic class that has grounding exercises in it. And it's so funny to be with a group of pagans and go, okay, now we're doing grounding. And half of them, they get their feet on the ground, and that you can see them aligning their spines. And then they're like, okay, now. And I love that. So all weekend I will nag you. You ground it. You ground it. It'll help you with the heat. Just get grounded. It'll help. I mean, there's a little thermodynamic thing going on there, but just, shove it down there. Send it down. Send it down. So some of the most important things about healing are your energy, your ability not to use your personal energy, but your ability to pull energy up out of the planet, to pull energy out of that little storm that just came over, to pull energy from the sound of that air conditioner, from the traffic on 142. On 142. It is incumbent on all of you that you do not use your personal energy, your personal life force to deal with some crap on TikTok. Do not do it. It will avail you not. So, if you need energy for anything you need energy for, don't use yours. Don't use your life force. Pull it up from wherever you need to pull it up. So you need to know how to utilize energy if you are a healer. And if I had a Benjamin for every time somebody came at me like this and said, I'm a 38th degree Reiki master, and they put their hands over me and it just made me sweat more, then I would be a very wealthy woman today. And I'd be in one of those fancy luxury vans with air conditioning. And y'all be going, oh, she's the one that did that thing with the Reiki grounding. I remember her. So energy is a definite thing. It's a real thing. You all know that. You know, we're expending energy today because we were absorbing a lot of heat. If you were outside, you had solar gain. That is the kind of energy we're talking about. It's not some woo-woo thing that tastes like cotton candy energy. It's the energy of the planet. It's the energy of life all around us. The more you use that energy, the better your healing will be. The more successful it will be, the more effective it will be, and the less exhausted you will be. I look around all of you, and yes, Sonia, baby, you got every reason to look exhausted because you're about to pop, and we love you, and you're making human beings. But we all look tired, and it's not just the heat. Because the times that we are living now, the times that I call tower time, are exhausting us because we have engaged deeply. And if you do not engage deeply and you pull away, then you feel guilty because you feel like you should be engaged deeply. So we're going to talk about some of those techniques. I'm going to walk you through a grounding protocol. I'm going to take you through the missing piece that I had for years. Ground, shield, center, work. I was missing a really important piece. I think a lot of other people are too. And that is the relaxation piece at the beginning. So instead of coming in out of some fraudful situation and like lighting every candle on your altar and, you know, like you flinging Florida water over everything and pulling out your giant Akame, putting on your pentacle the size of a salad plate. Instead of doing all that stuff to make you more and more exhausted, you will be better off to stop. to do some relaxation exercises, whatever they are. And whether you're doing an actual working or not, it doesn't hurt you to do relaxation every day. You don't have to be so stressful that your head is about to explode in order to do some relaxation. And the thing that I've been using a lot lately, I'm going to walk you through right now, is what is called 4 square breathing. And it's a wonderful, easy technique. You can, if you are one of those people who has to be in competition with yourself all the time, you can go, all right, well, I'm going to start for a count of 4, but I'm going to work up to 13 because that's my lucky number. And then I'm going to be all inhale for 13 and hold for 13 and exhale. Honey, baby, you do whatever you have to do. The important is the deep inhale, the hold, the deep exhale, and the rest. Because at the point of the hold at the top of the square and the rest at the bottom, your body has everything in it it needs. It is fully oxygenated and it has released the toxins. And you can just, for a count of 4, you just have to exist. You don't have to do anything but just exist. So I'm going to have a sip of water. Y'all get yourselves comfortable in whatever way feels comfortable to you. And what we're going to do is we're going to inhale on count of 4, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and then just rest for 4. And we're going to do 4 rounds of it, and I'll talk you right through it. So first let's do, as we like to say in the Unitarian Universalist Church, a deep cleansing breath. I'll go ahead and make yours. Ah. More noise. Ah. They're going to think we're doing the sex workshop. One more time. Ah. Excellent. Now, close your eyes if you want to and if you're comfortable doing that. And inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and rest, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and rest, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and rest, 2, 3, 4, last time, inhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and rest, 2, 3, 4. Now just breathe deeply and normally. Now how's that feel? Does it feel like you could settle into your seat a little bit more? Excellent. Thank you. And I just realized, normally when I do this, when people, almost all of you close your eyes, you don't see me, you don't see my tail. So I walk myself through it and I have different hand signals so that I counted out over here. And I just realized all those people saw the secret, unless they close their eyes. They all know the secrets. Yeah. I'm done. They know the secrets. So while you're there, this is a grounding protocol. Now, like I said, Taurus, if y'all are Tauruses, you already grounded when I said the word ground. You probably walked in grounded. You probably said grounded at this point. I couldn't even push you up. But for some of the others of us, this is one protocol. There's lots of others you can use. And you can do this wherever you are. So if you are waiting at that intersection where the light never changes, every town has one. When you're waiting there, instead of jiggling your feet or cursing the universe, or what I used to do, I used to have the governor and I used to have President Obama on dial on my phone, and I would just push the button. And when they answered, I would tell them what my deal was back then. So you can do that too. Or you can imagine tiny, tiny little roots come out of the bottoms of your feet. And for most of us, they either come out of the ball of the foot or the heel. For most people, it's one or the other. So that when you put together a protocol for yourself to ground yourself instantly, you either push your heels in or you push your balls of your feet in. Because they're talking through it It's a lovely thing. However, if you have to ground yourself fast, it needs to be like this. Ground. So you've got tiny little roots growing out of the bottoms of your feet. And look at us right out here. This is so easy. We don't have to go through the carpet, the flooring, and the subflooring, and the joists, and through the basement until we touch the cool bosom of Mother Earth. And when those roots go in there, they grow faster, and they get wider, and they're stronger. And there comes a point where they go deep, 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 and you will feel the energy push back along that root system right into either your heels or the balls of your feet and up the backs of your legs and up your spine. And you'll feel if your kundalini is already uncoiled, it will feel nice and firm. If it is not uncoiled in a while, because it's so hot in the world, it's so screwed up, you might feel your kundalini uncoiling so that it's like, feel that. My head bones connected to my tailbone. Once again, how'd that happen? So as these little roots curl down, 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 and practicing your breathing, there come a point where the energy comes up, 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 up. And what I do is store that energy, I say, in my battery. So if you put your hand right above your belly button, if you have, bless your heart, son, do you have a belly button at this point?
I do.
Oh.
It's rather large.
Okay. Store that energy right in here. Store it in there. Store it in your battery. And you can hold that stored energy for a little bit later when you may need it. And you find out you get to the end of the day and you didn't need all that energy, you can just let it flow right back into the earth because the earth will take all she can get from it in a good way. All she can get from it in a good way. So then you have the relaxation, the grounding, and the next piece is shielding. And I want to walk you all through that. Oh, you're getting shielded now, baby. Sorry. Like I'm off, honestly. People think they don't have to do shielding. They either think they're such a badass, I'm such a powerful witch, I just use whatever you throw at me and I send it back to you. Well, God bless you. I'm glad you're so powerful and good and all that. That's really good. You never, ever have to worry about shielding. That's okay then. But most people at some point are going to want to make a protective space in which they can either work or not work. And that's what I'm going to stress to all of you. Make yourself a protective bubble in which you don't have to do anything at all. So you wake up. So Krista wakes up and youngins have gotten in her lipstick and they got in some chocolate frosting and that's all over the house and you don't know if it's chocolate or not. It's been one of those, and it's hot and all that stuff. And you are just like, there's like little bits of steam, wispy bits of steam coming out like this. And it's like, I gotta, so you do your grounding. Boom! Grounding, deep, 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 deep. And it's a little bit more. It's almost steam coming out. Now, here's the thing you might want to try is to get yourself completely shielded. And once you are completely shielded, you can decide then, is somebody lobbing something at me? Because, everybody thinks somebody hexed them, and almost no one is capable of doing that. I'll be honest with you, I'm a hex master. Almost nobody's capable of doing it. Or did I just have too much coffee today? Or did I not sleep the night before? So you figure out whatever protocols you want to work for shielding. There are a million ways to do it. There's probably as many ways to do it as there are people. Here's what I do. From a grounded place, I imagine that in front of me rises a curved wall of emerald. And I hear it coming out of the earth like a big clanging garden gate. It comes clanging. Of course, emeralds don't clang, but in my head they do. So green here, curved wall. And then on this side, it's a clear wall that meets up with the emerald, and they click in together. Behind me is a wall of, can you imagine what color? Red, ruby. And here on this side, what color would it be? Blue, yeah, aquamarine. And it's sapphires. And they click together as they come up. And then I imagine that below me, there is a bowl of all those same jewels under the earth, and there's a dome over me. And I used to say it's like I'm like Glinda the Good Witch traveling in a bubble of light. But if you think about the colors, it's really a beach ball. So I set that whole thing up, and I'm in a beach ball. Now I walked you all through that pretty quickly. But the truth of the matter is, if you need your shields up, it needs to be like Star Trek. It needs to be shields up, and you are surrounded and done. And the more people practice that, the more adept you get at it. And again, it's like grounding. Grounding is an it's an exercise. You are not literally growing roots out of the bottoms of your feet. I hate to tell the TikTok witches that, but it's true. They're not literal roots coming out the bottom of your feet. It's all imaginarily done. Same thing with this. You are not really going to work until you can pull. God, wouldn't that be great? I was working that protocol, and let me tell you what, it was like a wall of emerald, a wall of diamonds, a wall of rubies, and a wall of sapphires, and I broke those suckers. And I took them away and sold them, and now I'm living off my yacht on my island. It's great here. So I hope y'all can do that. If you can, would you let me know? Just give me a little shout out. You don't have to give me any diamonds or rubies or anything, but just let me know that worked for you that way. But the more you can use these simple, basic, magical principles, the easier your life gets as a human being, but especially as a healer. You are not the Lone Ranger. I'm looking at you, Cassie, right? Yeah. You are not the Lone Ranger. You are not the only person doing this. I want you to find 2 other people you know who are going to be part of your support team. They don't have to be near you necessarily, though it's nice if they are, because then if Cassie gets sick, we can bring her a bowl of gruel. But if she has distant friends who are her support team, that's okay because they can check on her and then they can send her, like a gift card thing for Venmo or whatever. So soup will arrive at you.
Yeah.
I feel like Mr. Data today. I have Moon in Scorpio. And Scorpio on the ascendant. It means I don't trust anyone. But there are 2 or 3 people that I don't trust less than others. And those are my team. So I know lots of y'all got some trust issues. I know that. So find the people that you pretty much almost kind of trust. If you may be one of those really good, love and light cookie eating kind of people who's like, oh no, I trust all those people I love and know. So I just have to pick 2 others out of 1,000 people. If you are those people, then bless you. You must be a wonderful healer. But most of the people I know have that frog over there and their dog, and that's their support network. Well, I need you to have humans. Just maybe 2. I don't need you to say, oh, my ancestors look after me. Yes, they do. Your ancestors do look after you. Yes, the land spirits will look after you if you give them some cheap-ass candy. Yes. All those spirit beings, your guides, your divinity, all that. Yes, but they will not make you chicken noodle soup if you're sick. They just won't. I mean, your grandma may be leaning over you going, I know you're sick and you're making chicken noodle soup, but you're making it wrong. Because you're using the wrong kind of chicken. And I'm just going to nag you, though you are sick and making soup. So find a support network of people that you can pretty much tell stuff to. Find it. Familiarize yourself with all those other beings, too. Because there are times at 2 o'clock in the morning where there's not a moon. Here, at 2 o'clock in the morning, when there's not a moon in the sky, and even the frogs have stopped singing. At that point, you have the visitation by the children of the corn who come to you with elderberry blossoms in their hair. Then you call in all the land spirits and the good neighbors and all that is like, come and take care of it. I don't know what this crap is, but I can do this. But if you have got a bad cold, if you have sprained something, call your team. Give yourself a team. I have a thing on my altar, my main altar at home, that's a nest. And it's not a literal bird's nest, but it's a basket woven like a nest. And sometimes I let my soul just go and sit in that basket. And I go about gardening because my soul doesn't need to do that with me all the time. I can say, you stay here, and I'm gonna go harvest the Melissa, and you just rest here. You just rest. Because I guarantee none of you get enough rest. So if you don't sleep at night well, I want you to consider there are times when you can rest without sleeping. So instead of getting up and checking Facebook and, sending Cassie a note at 2 in the morning, are you awake too? I'm awake too. Instead of doing all of that, lie there, think of England, lie there, do your deep breathing exercises, ponder what your dreams have been, and let your body rest. Just let it rest. We do far too much. And right now, we're in a place where come and sit down, baby boy. We are in a place now where there are things that we solved 30 years ago. We thought we solved 30 years ago, and now they're back. And there are these, when I was a kid, I don't think anybody else is as old as I am. No. Well, yeah, Brian is, because I know how old Brian is. They were called Bobo dolls. And it was this piece of conical plastic that was inflatable. And it was weighted on the bottom. It had a clown painted on it. And you were supposed to punch it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it would come back up like this. So, that's
those.
why my generation is the way it is. We grew up punching clowns. And they always came back. That's why we're so crazy. Well, we are in that place of so many issues in the culture where we thought that Bobo doll was down. And now the waters in the rivers are getting cleaner, so we don't have to think about that. Boing. Duke Power has an ash pond? What? So, I want each of you, of all the things that make you crazy in the world, to pick 3 things. 3 things, that's all. So, these are the 3 things that when you come across your social media feed, you go, no, it's not going to stand. It is not going to stand. I'm not going to allow this to continue. Those 3 things, but you have to have faith, and as I just did my whole Scorpio thing, you have to have faith that other people are doing the other thing. So once a year, maybe on your birthday, maybe on November 1st, once you finish all the big science stuff, you say to yourself, all right, what am I going to focus on this year? Because you can be the expert on 3 things. You can be absolutely the expert on 3 things in your community. I love to use the example of water. If you are the expert about water in your community, you know all the tributaries, you know where your water system gets its water. Is it from a river? Is it from a reservoir? Where does it come from? You can make friends with the Metropolitan Sewerage District folks and with the river keepers. You can take them literal muffin baskets and make friends with them. And then you can call them, the day they test for parts per million. You can call them up and say, so what's the E. coli rate right now? What's the rate of, and they will tell you because you have made friends with them. You have forged a relationship with them. So you can be the expert on that. You cannot be the expert on everything. And what will happen if you try to be is you'll get burned out. And we will lose your big, passionate, wonderful golden heart because you are going to be hiding in the living room with the air conditioning on full blast, and you're going to be watching game shows one after another because it's all you can do. Because your brain is done and your soul is fried to a crisp. So pick 3. If you can't do 3, do 2. But don't try to fix every problem because you simply can't. We know way too much about stuff that's going on in places that we aren't. So we know what the death rate is like in India right now. We know the horrors in Lebanon. We know all of that. So I ask you also to grieve globally and work locally. Because if what you are going to do, and there's no shame in this at all, if what you're going to do is write a big fat check, that big fat check is going to go farther with a local nonprofit than it will if you give it to the big multinational corporate office. So you find that little group of people who are putting together land conservation easement groups, and you help them. If that's your thing, you help them. Leave the Sierra Club alone. Plenty of people write big fat checks to the Sierra Club. They are a little greenwashy to my taste. You find a little environmental group where you are, and you throw your weight behind them. And that could mean that all you do is get their email once a month if they have the staff to put out an email once a month. You get their once a month email and you look at the needs and you go, can I do any of these this month? I can do number 4. And then you do number 4. It's really, it can be so simple so that you don't burn out, so that you do something for your community that you love, that you do something for the earth that you love. There's small ways to do that. Now, many of us are not in a position to write a great big fat check, which is not. But we are in a position to do things like, I hear so-and-so's food pantry. You know, our temple food pantry is always empty because we like give the food out constantly. But if you know of a food pantry that needs food, you don't have to start a food pantry. You can collect food for an existing food pantry. If you know that there are little youngins in the public school in your town who, if they don't pay their, nobody can afford to eat lunch in school anymore. How the hell did that happen? It used to be 25 cents for a bunch of crap you didn't really want to eat, but it was just 25 cents. So there are children now who don't pay their pittance of lunch money, and at the end of the year, they don't get to go on the big field trips because they owe money to the cafeteria. Call your local elementary school and say, do any little children owe money to the damn cafeteria? Because if they do, I'm paying it, or I'm going to have a spaghetti supper. Me and Lori and Willow are going to have a big old spaghetti supper, and we're going to hand them out on styrofoam plates and wreck the environment. But we're going to hand them out, and we're going to make enough money to pay off those little youngins' debts. That's what we're going to do. So finding ways to be effective and to have agency in your community will go a long way towards making you feel like you're changing the world, because we have to change the world. We can't pretend that we can just be out on the land and we can go, oh, do you know the thing about elderberries is so wonderful? It's such a generous plant. She will give you those flowers in the spring, and you can take half of that crop and put it into elderberry syrup. And it's not quite as healing as elderberry tincture, but the elderberry flower syrup is very healing. And that way, if you don't get any berries in the fall, you still have elderberry. So that's a lovely thing to know. But that doesn't make a second grader get to go on their field trip because they didn't get to pay off their money. So find the hardcore things that are easy to take care of. I was working with a group in Delaware, and a bunch of them were together at this, it was a pagan pride. And they had this wonderful idea that I always tout to everybody. I need to check with them, see if they still do it. They were going to raise, the group of them, there were 7 of them, were going to collect food for the food pantry. And they were each going to take a color of the Roy G. bib. And they were going to bring food of that particular color. And then we're going to swap out every month. They're going to do it once a month. And so I'm going to take orange this month. And then, okay, so that's lovely. It's really easy to remember. I'm doing green this month. I'm going to get a little extra green. And then that's food pantry. Oh, no, not this group. Then once everybody had gathered their stuff, they were all going to come together in a park, a public park, and they were going to wear T-shirts the color of what they collected. And then they were going to have their picture made like a big rainbow and all the food. And then they were going to go to the food pantry in their rainbow colors, and here's our rainbow food. So they made the whole thing a big adventure, and they made it be fun. And when we can find ways to make doing good also having fun, then we're going to get way more people doing it. And it's going to be good for your little ragged souls. It's going to be good for your little broken hearts because you have broken hearts and you have ragged souls because of the time that we live in right now. And I'm going to tell you this and then open it up to questions and comments. These are the times we are made for. We would not be here if we weren't strong enough to endure it and strong enough to change it. We are paradigm changing people. And that's why we come together in little groups and big groups, why we're together in Zoom meetings and face meetings, meetings, because we are here to figure out how we move forward. As this top-down these top-down systems collapse as they implode, as the tower falls. Don't shore it up. Let the damn thing tumble, because we want it done. We've had 6,000 years of this, and we've done enough. It's time for an egalitarian movement that is circles on the ground, that is people being fed. The idea that in my county, Buncombe County, North Carolina, 60% of the children are food insecure, and you cannot buy a damn brick ranch house for under $500,000.
Yeah.
There's a problem. That's a real problem, real time problem. So find the things that you can gather one or two people and do. Find one or two people, maybe the same one or two people, that are going to be your tight circle of healing sisters and brothers, and change the world, because we can do it. And I don't think much else can. So thank y'all for listening, and thanks for the cool. That was very nice.
Yeah.
Questions, comments, ideas? Can you top that food pantry idea? That's
That
pretty
was
good.
pretty awesome.
They would have had little fans like that too. They'd be like, "Look, we got all the food."
What appalled me with this whole COVID thing was that everybody was so focused on getting people to their doctor's appointments and getting this and that, and it was all medical. But you had senior citizens that were recovering from cancer and terminal illness. They would not, the public transportation would take them to the doctor's appointment, but they wouldn't take them to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we found out about it, we actually worked with the Amish and said, hey, let me buy a 40-pound bag of beans and rice, and just put it up and said, anybody who needs farm fresh eggs and all of that. And people were getting on there and they're like, oh, well, we're selling eggs for $2 a butt. That's not what that was about. It was about giving to the people that needed it.
There's still breakdown.
Yeah.
Yes, and I live in Kansas City, and I was a vet tech for 14 years. And I quit doing that, and then I went, in all of my infinite wisdom at 53 years old, I went to work at the DMV in Harrisonville, Missouri.
Wow.
Every morning, every afternoon, and every night I cried for 7 weeks. And I'm like, you bitches can fucking have this shit. It's for the fucking birds. I now understand why people go postal. I understand completely why people punch holes in walls. And I'm not saying that it's okay for them to do that. I'm not condoning behavior. My point is that there are too many motherfucking layers to this shit. It's so goddamn convoluted. It's like tar. You cannot fucking move. You can't think. These poor people are being told, after waiting in line for 3 and 4 hours and more, that they don't have everything they need. These poor people are having to come back 5, 6, and 7 times to do this shit. Taking time off of work. Not having choices but to take their children and their babies with them. And then being turned away at the DMV because their baby isn't covered because of COVID. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this shit needs to fucking burn to the goddamn ground.
The idea of going back to normal is so.
There is no fucking normal.
No, and would you want to go back to it the way we
Goddamn
were 2 years
no.
ago? No.
Hell
And
no.
it's up to us now to do what we can do.
Yep.
I didn't expect this group of people to change the world, but I think you could.
Mm-hmm.
I think working together you could. I think working alone you probably could.
I'm doing everything I can
change
to. I'm doing everything I can. I work with these animals, these people that have mental health issues and live by themselves in these fucking tiny ass apartments, and they have these little dogs, and that's the only fucking thing they have. They don't have a family to come and help them. They're lucky if they have a neighbor that has a brain in their head and sees that, oh my God, she hasn't been out of her house in 3 or 4 days. Why don't I go find out what has happened?
Yeah.
So working in that for a no-kill, not-profit shelter as a vet tech, I burned out after 10 years. Done.
I'm sure.
I can't do it anymore. My mother is batshit crazy. My oldest son is a fucking dope addict. My second son is a functioning alcoholic, and I'm sitting there like this with all my plates
Right.
in the air. And then my mom, in her infinite wisdom, right, gets 2 pit bull puppies. And I said, why?
Because they're so cute.
Well, I've been wanting puppies. I said, you don't like large breed dogs. Well, I wanted puppies. I said, okay,
They can grow.
they're yours. Adios. You're 74 years old. You can't, you're batshit fucking crazy. But
Fun.
there you go. You have fun with that.
I hear you.
I have had to let go. I've had to disconnect from my children.
Good.
I've had to do all these things that I thought were bad. I wasn't supposed to do those things.
It made you a bad mother. It made you a bad
Yes.
friend. It made you a bad
That's
mother.
what my brain told me. That's what my conditioning told me.
I swear, if I could, in fact, all of you hold your hand out, your left hand, your receiving hand, whatever hand you don't write with, hold that out. And I'm throwing to you the magic M&Ms. And these magic M&Ms take away all the guilt.
Yeah.
Because guilt is a feeling that
Yeah.
feels like an action.
Yes.
And we feel guilty and we go, oh my God, it is just so terrible. What's going on? I feel so bad. You feel like you're doing something. And you're not. You're just feeling something.
Mhm.
So now you got the magic M&Ms. You can eat them. If you do, they'll stay with you forever. If you want to put it in your pocket, you can have it. They make a necklace out of it, one earring. I don't care. It's on you.
So, thank you for that share.
Oh,
Because
my name is
I have-
Jules. I'm sorry.
No,
Nice
it's fine.
to meet you all.
Somebody
Yeah.
mistook you for me for you.
Yeah,
I believe
Yeah.
that because
Yeah.
you were talking and I'm like, she's me.
So, I think that Jules brings up a good point. Part of all of this is detaching from toxic connections that we've been told we've got to keep on because that helps support the structure. But one of the things that I've been trying to do with this last year is try to teach the kids how to make personal connections that are healthy. Because part of, and as you mentioned, my family life is very complex, but kind of what we're doing and what we're trying to do here is teach these babies how to recognize toxic connections and hold in their mind, we have family members that maybe have mental health issues, maybe have substance issues, and you can love them, but we cannot see them all the time.
Yeah.
We cannot attach to them because this is not going to feed us.
And it's not your responsibility to
Yeah,
fix
you
them
can't
either.
carry their burden.
But this is a hard concept for an 8-year-old.
Right.
So kind of what we've been trying to do, and it's been a challenge, is reach out to other kind of populations. I'm living in Springfield, which is not a pagan paradise by any means. It's a prosperity gospel wonderland. They have these street preachers and other people will join them and all start feeling the rapture, which is really bizarre looking. And this is not the culture I'm from. This is not the cultural milieu I'm from. So that's a thing. But we've been reaching out with, ironically, the Scouts, which used to be very rah-rah Christian and boys only and all that. But since they went bankrupt, and now they have girls in,
How malleable.
Now that
it's actually pretty cool because we have girls in with the boys, so now they're being socialized together, which I feel is actually striking at that egalitarian vibe. And they're playing together and they're learning together. But also, we're out. They know we're not Christian, yet we have like 4 kids. So it was like half the pack. So all of them are getting out, you know what I mean? So but that's the thing. So what I've been trying to do is, because it's very, you have to be kind of gentle with these things. Can't be flying a flag and stuff all the time. But we did this thing with this heritage seed bank,
We're doing Q&A now, so yeah.
which apparently they have in the library there.
Yeah.
You guys might want to check it out. It might have it here too, where they'll give you free seeds that are heritage variety. You grow them, you collect the seed, you give it back to the library. And this was something that everybody was actually really interested about.
And that cuts across all swatches.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Economic, racial, cultural. There are always going to be people who love to grow things.
Exactly. And, the thing that was really magical about this is that, we're coming at it from like a pagan perspective, of course. And we kind of was talking about it. We go to the library. The library does a little thing there. They made an exception because it was COVID and they can't really have any kind. But somebody there's a gardener and was so excited. And then there was girls in the Boy Scout troop because they're all dressed up in their thing. And they're like, oh, we've got to host this. So they figured out a way to get us all socially distanced. And these guys that look like Duck Dynasty come out of nowhere. And they're like, what's going on? Why are these girls in scout uniforms? And they're like, well, they're part of, it's not just for boys anymore. And they're like, well, I got a daughter. Do they like to hunt? Do they let them play with knives? And we're like, well, yeah, it's scouts. And so, but it was really interesting because just that one little thing kind of made these ripples. So I feel like part of what I'm trying to do is teach folks how to make interpersonal connections, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Right.
And try to use my own crazy family as like a excuse or like not excuse but like example of like, hey, we love these folks but we can't see them but maybe once or twice a year, if that.
Well, and we've had the hard-won wisdom of there are people that we can continue to love that we can't be in relationship with.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one of the main lessons this past 18 months
Absolutely.
has really exploded. I mean, everybody's getting divorced or married or having babies or lost a business or starting a business or trying to survive. But I do feel like this is a good time for us to try to figure out new connections, because a lot of the problem with our society is we've lost that connection and people only have like their little dog or they only have somebody across. So that was a really good point that you had about, hey, have human friends. Maybe one or two that live in your zip code.
Well, I was talking to a Unitarian, and this one woman who knew me from Facebook. They do coffee hour after the service, and they were the kind of congregation that somebody had a whole bunch of radishes and brought them in bunches, and people took. It's just a really sweet, dear group. And she waited around. She said, "We need to talk to you about something." So we were all packing up, and she said to me, "Oh, this is pre-COVID. Would you give me a hug?" And I was like, yeah, of course. So I gave her this big, and she just clung on to me. And she said it was the first time she had been touched by human hands other than her dentist in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my
2
Atlanta.
years without human touch. And that's
real.
That's
Like being
wrong. It's
That is
wrong.
wrong.
That's more, but that's true. But that's the
Oh my
norm,
God.
and that's the thing that we have to get away from. We have to get
Yeah.
back into that, and it's interesting. So I don't know.
Thank you for that. Alfred just gave me about 5 minutes ago. Does anybody else got any burning things they want to ask, say, ideas they have? If not, we can do that over the next couple of days. If something clicks for you and you go, oh, wait, I just had an idea. Please come and see me. Please do.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole bankruptcy thing because they already had the Ranger Scouts and then the Troop Scouts, which was a co-ed, but nobody knew it. And then Donna did the Spyro Scouts, which was supposed to be the whole great pagan thing, but everybody kept trying to branch off in that thing with the Girl Scout, and I was very lucky.
Yeah.
Because I went all the way
That's a great
through
idea,
and
though,
got
with the
all the
lunch.
big
I never
thing,
even
which
thought about doing something like that.
I still give Alfred
That's
a hard
fantastic.
time because, well, he didn't
And
make
it's
his
probably
equal
nice
one.
for lunch. They can't go on a ship because they can't afford the dog.
But you did.
But it's very interesting because we always were doing that, and we did a lot with, like, I did archery for the Boy Scouts instructor, and the group that my kids went through the scout system and stuff, but the parents found out that they were pagan, and so all of a sudden we had these parents from Hindu and Muslim and pagan and Wiccan, and they're all coming to us and they're hearing, we hear you're not Christian and we don't force them to make God.
Right.
And I was like, this is it. And so finally Alfred goes in and he has this big conversation. He's like, whatever divine power, whether it's God, Jesus, her, whatever, it's still divine. So when you think of the word God or creator, you want to use creator. When you do that, just think of what it means to you and nobody else. And boy, we had this outreach program, and these little boys are sitting there, and God, and everybody's like, well, they're very enthusiastic, and I'm like, but you have no idea why.
And interfaith work is so
Yeah.
important. So important.
Yeah,
I can
and
remember
think
laughing with a Muslim man who had just come to town, and he sat down beside me at an interfaith meeting, and he said, "Hello," introduced himself, and he said, "And I am Shia Muslim." I said, "Oh, very good. Well, I'm Wiccan." And he said, "We are the most hated religions on the planet." And we had this wonderful commonality. And he said, "Do you find that when something terrible happens, your first thought is, oh no, was it one of my people?" He said, "All the time I think, oh no, that terrorist. Oh no, are they Muslim?" And I said, "Oh yeah, it's for us, it's Satanists." So this kid does some horrendous thing in a building, or and tortures an animal. It's like, oh God, please don't let him say they're pagan. Please, please. So it was this really amazing common moment.
Well, and a lot of the groups do that too. They're like, let's stick in our little pagan groups and do just for the pagan community. You gotta reach out to the locals, just locals. You can't separate yourself. You're really wanting to make an impact.
Help. But I am not doing it.
But anyway, no, I had rapper.
It was good. No, what a good group. Good to see. Good to see who this is.
Yeah, that was now.
Is it Michael?
Yes.
Yes, Michael. So that was so good to see you. And sit right here, and I'm just like,
Yeah, from a couple years
Great.
ago.
okay. And how do we know each other? He said, yeah, a couple years ago here, and I was like, no.
And he talked about herbs and things.
A real blessing.
Oh my God.
Everything
Yeah.
shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, that's cool.
no, that was Jules.
And it was like, I can see that with the glasses
Yes.
and the hair. Yes.
Yeah.
You were
Really positive when I take
And you get talking to her on the phone, they're like, oh, this
And
one.
school
It's
is
just
all
like,
closed down.
yeah, but
I tried it.
I can't.
I can't.
and you know
Oh,
what?
I know. My son got crazy because he just crossed.
Well, I
over
never
there.
want to be
Those guys,
accepted.
They give life, but they come in the back and they take mine.
One of my favorite performers is Pink. What is
But
that?
my daughter is a Bugler. She's going to be a scout next year. So